All right, everybody, welcome back to Golficity Live. We're going to be talking about some new vlogs, some projects we've got coming up. We're going to talk about and recap a little about this week's episode of the Golf Podcast, number 214, which is on iTunes, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to your podcast. It's out there. Just a quick reminder, join the conversation, post the comments below. We will be reading them. That's why we're doing this. We like to get that little two-way conversation going. But, Mike, what else we got covering tonight?
Yeah, so tonight we're going to talk about, first and foremost, we put out a new review on our YouTube channel. We went heads up, Rogue versus the Epic. We did the old Callaway Club heads up, which is great. It's out there. It's great. Came out great. Loving the feedback that it's getting too. So we'll talk about that in a sec. We'll play a little clip from that. And, of course, I always like to mention, subscribe to us on YouTube if you can. Honestly, I mean, we have 5 videos, I think, Frank, coming out in the next 8 weeks.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about those in a second. Tell
and
you
this
what
is
they
one
are.
of my most fun cover shots, this little teaser right here.
There it is.
We have an entire blooper reel of just trying to get that cover shot because us trying to be serious. How many times we crack up doing that?
I know. I'm trying to get my hands on that, but you're holding that one tight.
Too great.
I love it. That's good stuff. All right, so we're going to do another fun this week on Instagram. You know, we love finding, cool trick shots, things like that out there, entertaining stuff to get us through the work day. So we'll touch on that. Frank, you know what? Let's roll Mike's mailbag real quick.
Yeah, here we are.
But here's a little kicker to it. Show the photo. Here, look what's sitting in my office here.
And how hard is it just to look at these boxes?
Let me tell you something. Those boxes are heavy. All right. So, but I'm not going to open them tonight. I know, boo, what's in the box, right? Everyone's probably thinking. But you and I, we're going to open them up in the office because there's a lot of stuff in there, and it's just going to be easier for us to open it in the office, okay?
Yeah.
So we're going to do that. But we'll report back on what's in that box. I am excited. Kind of know what it is, so you'll see that coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, that's going to be we're going to have a little fun with that one because that's, as you say, that's an extra special care package from our friends over at FootJoy.
Yeah, I'm loving it. So let's get into the meat of tonight's show. I want to talk about some of these videos that we have coming up. So possibly, let's start with the first one. May 1st, it's right around the corner. If the weather hopefully gets warm, you and I are possibly going to get out to your course. They just built a new par 3 track, a 9-hole track on May 1st, and do a par 3 challenge. So I know you're raving about this. I've never played it. What's up with it?
Super challenging for a par 3 course. Some of the toughest greens you're going to ever try to hit. Undulations, double, triple tiers. So your short game's got to be fire that day. But this is going to be fun. I think it's a nice way to start to kick off the season. We'll get out there. We'll do a little something for fun on the YouTube channel. We'll do a little Frank versus Mike par 3 challenge. It's 9 holes. And we'll just have some fun with it. Really start to warm that short game up. But just be ready. Just be ready.
I will.
It is no walk in the park. I'll tell you that much.
I got to think the fairway's narrow up there. It didn't seem like you had much room to build this thing.
Yeah, it's tight. It's tight. What they did is they actually expanded the course a couple of years ago, and as part of that, they took a few of the middle holes that they got rid of and reworked into a par 3 course. So it's kind of like maneuvers around, but not too short. There's one or two that play like 170, 180. Some longer par 3s, and then you've got some really short like pitch shots, but postage stamp greens. So be ready for like some really tight small. I mean, landing areas. Not much bigger than my desk, some of them, to stay up on the tier. So just be ready for that.
It's probably a good course to challenge your game, so I'm excited for it. All right, so let's try to do that. Hopefully weather cooperates. Fast forward 2 weeks, May 15th. Right after that, we're going to be filming, and I'm really excited about this. I know you are too. We're going to do a full bag fitting at the Titleist Performance Institute at Sleepy Hollow Country Club. Frank, have you ever been to Sleepy Hollow?
I haven't, but take a look at this picture.
Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me? Come on.
That's par 3 overlooking the Hudson at sunset there, which is amazing. I actually have a buddy of mine who's applying for membership there. It's a tough process. It's a beautiful club, full country club, pool, tennis courts, that type of thing. And it's one of those last you just have to look at it. I can't really describe it. They have a whole aerial view on the website. Check it out before we go over there. But I don't know. What do you expect from this fitting? This is full bag. This could be a long day, huh?
I can't wait. I mean, I love that.
Yeah,
I love geeking out about that stuff. We're learning more and more. I mean, you and I have never been like huge, like equipment like nerds. You know what I mean? Like we've been so focused on learning the game and things like that. And I think this is the next logical step, is that as we're working our way through the game, we're starting to learn more and more about the specifics of fittings and stuff like that. And we've worked with over the past, 8 months, we've worked with some of the best fitters out there, from, down at Club Champion. You saw some of those videos. Pete's Golf, which is at Golf and Body NYC. I mean, all these guys, top 100 Golf Digest rated fitters. But another one of the gold standards is TPI. I mean, look at this. You see the guy getting hooked up there in the background. I mean, this is one of the biggest names, Titleist Performance Institute. I can't wait. They've invited us down there to go through and do a fitting. That is going to be really cool. And I think it's coming at just the right time, because we have learned so much going through these other fittings that we're not coming into it completely cold. We kind of have an idea of what to expect. And because of that, we have allocated a whole lot more time. I remember the first fitting we did, we ran out of time. Remember, I didn't even get to finish my driver fitting, because we had, we were working on a tight schedule. Sometimes it's tough when not only are you trying to get fitted, but you're also trying to create some content out of it and bring the cameras and the microphones and all that stuff along. So it can be a little bit tough, but we reserved the whole day, and I can't wait to see what comes out of this thing.
Yeah, I know, me too. And I'm curious to see if the Golf and Body outcome matches the outcome there, because, Golf and Body had me fitted for the AP3s out of anything on the shelf.
Yep.
Not just Titleist.
As well, they had suggested that it was between the Epic and the Titleist driver, and they were leaning towards the Titleist where we were at that point. We were starting to work our way into some different shafts, and that's a huge part of the fitting, as we learned, and you guys will see more of that as you check it out on the YouTube channel. I mean, that becomes a big part, even more so than I had thought. We talked about this a little bit on the podcast this week, how much difference shaft makes. I had always thought, okay, stiff, regular, flex, whatever. But speaking with John, who's one of the master club fitters down at Club Champion, he's like, that's really where we make all our biggest changes. We make some adjustments in the head. We make sure we're using the right head for your game. But he goes, but after that, moving the ball on the right flight path and everything, it all comes down to these minor adjustments in the shafts. And you could see how much goes into it when you look on that wall, right? In the video, how many shafts they have there, how many different options and things to work with. So it's it's been an enlightening experience.
And with the price difference between the shafts was like $40 to $500.
Ridiculous. Yeah, he's talking about some of the stock shafts that come off the shelf, like a $40 shaft, and then the ones that they had there go up $500 or more. And he said a lot of it is just the quality of the graphite that's put into it. And you're talking at that point like tour level shafts. So it's wild.
Yeah, so tour players are playing with multi-$1,000 clubs.
No doubt.
Their drivers are $1,500 drivers, things like that.
They're playing with every component in there. The graphite, whatever it is top. The highest top quality, because there's different levels of quality. And they're as high as it goes, I'm sure.
You think you play better with a $500 shaft versus their stock?
I got enough big problems in my game that's not going to be.
Exactly.
But no, it's a little bit of a difference for someone like me, but I don't want to downplay that quality of that fitting, but still it's
sure.
I'm not the type of guy yet who'd be ready to drop that kind of money on a shaft.
No, I agree with that. And listen, it's always fun heading down to Club Champion. Those guys are great. They host us anytime we want to come in and use their facility. So thanks to those guys. That was a lot of fun. And I'm excited to just do more fittings, just not only at the TPI, but just as new stuff comes out in the future, we can get over there and test it. So I want to quickly tease the last two videos, because these are kind of on the books, but they're a little pushed out. We're going to be heading up to the Titleist Ball Factory up in Massachusetts at some point in mid-May, and we're gonna try to shoot some great content up there, just touring that facility and really understanding a little bit more behind the R&D and what kind of goes into the number one ball in golf up there. So we're excited about that. And Pound Ridge. So this is another one coming up. Pound Ridge golf course up in Westchester. Speaking of Westchester, we just talked about Sleepy Hollow. So. We played Pound Ridge back in 2016 or 2015, actually.
I got a picture from that. Let's see here.
There it is. Yeah.
What a beautiful track that was.
Yeah.
Pete Dye, right?
Yep. Yeah, that was a great one. We did a podcast episode up there interviewing the golf course owner, Ken Wang. That was good. That was an interesting one. And then we got to play the round after that. So that was a lot of fun. But but we're going to be heading back there. They invited us to come back. It's their 10th year anniversary of the course, so maybe we could fly the drone up there and have some fun.
I hope so. Yeah, because I mean, as far as views go, some of those holes are gorgeous. Interesting little tidbit: Ken, his sister is Vera Wang. So a lot of success in that family, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But he, very successful businessman, loves the game, loves golf, and you can see it reflected in what he's done with that course. He brought Pete Dye in to design it. He was there step by step with Pete as it was being designed. I loved that episode that we did of the golf podcast where we interviewed him, because he talks about what it was like walking out there when it was just a blank slate, and it was like woods. You know, it was just a big area of woods, and Pete Dye, could just look at an area and just envision the holes, and he would just describe it and say, like, an individual tree, be like, that needs to stay there, and we're going to build the hole around that. And I thought from a standpoint of hearing what it's like from a course designer, it just gives you even more respect for the game and for the courses. So that was really cool. I can't wait to get back up there and play it again. But a challenging track, but a smart track. Another thing that Pete Dye did with that, which was I found to be very smart, it's not traditional tee boxes. It's not traditional, here's your blacks, your blue, your white. They go specifically by handicap.
Handicap. Mm-hmm.
And it's not something to feel like, you're playing the forward tees and you feel like a little less manly, It's actually, they're telling you will enjoy it that much more if you play from the right one. And they do a great job too, from when we saw it with the starter, telling us, what's your handicap, and I'll direct you what tees to play. And also because Pete Dye designed the course with each one of those in mind. So as you go to different tee boxes, different hazards become in play. And he designed it to be a challenge for each level. And I thought that was incredibly smart and a really fun new way of going about it.
When we talked with Ken, he actually insisted that we try tee shots for multiple tee boxes just to see how different the course plays.
Yes. And it does.
Brings that tree into play.
Different. Right.
Yeah. Big time. So, that's going to be a real fun one. That course is beautiful. So can't wait to get up there. I want to just kind of go back real quick. I want to go back on equipment because I'm not done with this Rogue versus Epic review.
Yeah.
We put a lot of time and effort into these, and they send us these results, and we put them out there. We put them out there in the Facebook group. A lot of guys were commenting on them. Eric Benzenberg, who's one of our writers, he immediately wrote an awesome article, Frank, about the how us as golfers focus more on distance.
How we get so distance obsessed to the point where it can actually harm our game because we're not focusing on some of the bigger important issues. Which, by the way, is something we're going to be recording another podcast episode shortly after this, and that's going to be something we're going to dive deeper into because I think that's a really important point that he makes.
Yeah, I'm excited to record that episode because I have a lot to talk about from my round on Friday.
Yeah.
Talk about mistakes. Okay, so on the Epic and the Rogue, we head down. We went to Club Champion. We did this whole fitting. We switched out both the Epic and the Rogue heads on the similar shaft.
Yep.
Same shaft, right, on both. Yep. And we hit 5 shots each of each club. All right.
Yes, we tried to keep it simple. I know we had a lot of comments of people saying that we should have tested with different shafts, and some people saying you and I independently should have had different shafts. It's a challenge anytime. I mean, you try to do these things as standardized as possible, also accounting for the fact of time. I mean, you'll see if you watch the video how many shafts are on the wall. I mean, we could have been there all day testing a million different ones, and this was not a full fitting. We weren't going through a full fitting.
Right.
The whole concept of this video was basically to identify that the concept that I think too many people get involved with in golf equipment is that, newer is always better. So just because a lot of people had gotten nervous, they maybe just spent the $500 on the Epic and now the Rogue drops. It's like, did I make a mistake? Is that better? Whatever it may be. And we wanted to kind of dispel that in a way and just show that, one is not necessarily better than the other, especially just for being newer.
Right, exactly. And I wanted to kind of, I didn't want to forget to mention that these clubs, what was I going to say? I just lost my train of thought. Oh, there's been a ton of reviews on these.
Okay.
You go to YouTube, Epic vs. Rogue, ton of reviews. So I wanted to get to the point. What is the difference? And John kind of nailed it in this part of the video. If you could just roll that, roll as much of it as you want. But I wanted to just show that what the true distance is if you're still torn between the two.
Yeah, let's roll this video real quick. This is a little clip from the entire video, which you can watch on YouTube. Of the Rogue versus the Epic. But one thing I noticed, and this is something you see us talk about on the podcast a lot, is the importance of getting fitted. So one disclaimer I see in most of the videos where people say, all right, no matter what, they're both great performing club heads, but you really got to get fitted to see which one's right for you. So I want to bring John in. We're here at Club Champion, who is a fitter. He does this every single day. John, let's say you get a guy like me comes in, say I'm interested in one and the other, starting fresh. Where do we begin so you start to know to gear me towards one or the other if you're fitting me to that?
So a lot of times what we'll do from a fitting standpoint is we'll have you kind of use your gamer to see what head would work a little better. If we're in need of a little bit more club head speed, what type of forgiveness we're really looking for. We'll pop an Epic head on and we'll try a couple different shafts. Make sure we're getting the launch and spin parameters where we need to be. And depending on if we need a little bit more help from heel to toe, lead us a little bit more into your Epic. If we need a little bit more like outspread forgiveness, a little more club head speed, we'll move into something more like the Rogue. Not everybody's going to fit into an Epic. Not everybody's going to fit into a Rogue. I mean, that's the benefits of getting fit. Seeing comparisons of what your 5 shots to 5 shots are, miss-hit windows, things of that nature.
That makes a lot of sense. So if you got a preconceived notion in your head, maybe the look at it. I mean, that's a perfect explanation right there. And it actually really worked kind of that way because exactly what he was describing before we went out and hit them is what we ended up finding. With the Rogue working more for my game, the Epic more for yours, because of the different styles of swing, the different, styles of impact, things like that. It just ended up working that way, which I found to be very interesting.
Yeah, so do me a favor. Do you have those in front of you, the TrackMan results? You can put up mine, yours, doesn't matter.
Yeah, so here's mine first. And now, just so anybody who didn't get a chance to take a look at it, what we did was to keep it very simple. We did 5 swings each. And then because it was just 5, we had a miss hit on each that we dropped out of it because in 5, one miss hit's going to dramatically skew the numbers. If you were going for a more extensive reel fitting, you would hit a lot more balls than this. But again, for the sake of time and consistency, we did 5 each. But yeah, Mike, so here's mine right here, and you can see that immediately points towards the Rogue being a better fit for me.
Yeah, and then I think mine will show the opposite.
And then we'll jump over to your TrackMan numbers, and that's exactly what it is. It's showing the opposite there. And there was a number of different reasons for that. The little bit of the heavier weight for the Epic was working better for you, and ultimately you were able to get about a 1% better angle of attack with the Epic. And then I was the exact opposite, where I was getting a 2 degree better impact attack angle with the Rogue. So, and these numbers are without going through the full fitting. At that point, as you heard John saying, we would use that as a baseline. We would start there. We would show one is leaning us towards one or the other, and then we would start to move toward, adjusting loft, different shafts, shaft flex, shaft length. There's a lot of different things we would start to get into to start to hone that in. But that was just the starting point. But the proof right there was that one is not specifically better than the other. It is very specific to the individual, and I think that's the importance of A, getting fit, and B, not always having that preconceived notion of newer being better.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, so check that out if you haven't. It's on our YouTube channel. You can get it there, youtube.com/Golficity. Let's roll. I want to roll a clip, but before, I want to set it up. The Golf Podcast, episode 214, is currently live. Tonight, we're recording episode 215, which will drop on Sunday. But if you haven't checked it out, go back and check that one out. We talked about ways to get better at putting without putting the practice in, which I thought was interesting, even though I kept coming back and saying, no, it's BS. You gotta roll, you gotta practice rolling putts. But you know what? You had an interesting, tip, Frank. You talked about this kind of circle drill that I've never thought of, and I think it could be really helpful for a lot of people. So do me a favor, roll a clip from the show where you talk about this.
Sure. Here we go. First tip is one that I agree with 110%. And that's the idea of looking at your putt from the side. I think it might be because of the fact that we all kind of sometimes, like we talk about pace of play, we feel a little bit rushed out there. A lot of us are just not in the habit of giving a really good read. Now, I'm not talking about taking 10 minutes to read it. But what I am saying is that if you're only reading your break of the putt from squatting down behind the ball, you're really doing yourself a disservice. And sometimes it's just a matter of just creating a new habit. And this is something I worked on the last couple seasons, and that is just like creating the habit of just walking one big circle around my putt and around the cup. And what I do with that is that forces me to read it from every side. If I just discipline myself to say, put as part of your pre-shot routine. So, and that's something that, without a doubt, if anybody's out there struggling, you feel like you're misreading, it's just like about creating new habits. That's what I had to do for myself. I knew conceptually that you're going to get a much better read by reading the putt from the sides, reading it from the other side, from the hole towards your ball. But I found myself just not doing it. So I started saying, like, let me just create this habit of each time, making a full circle, walking around the cup and around my ball. And that would force me to take a look at it from each side. And as I did that, I saw my putting improve. So if anybody is struggling with that, I would say definitely go for it. If you want more of the details, listen to that episode, which is, like I said, it's live right now on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, everywhere. In there, I dive into it a little bit more about why and the importance of reading the break, especially from the side, and how we work speed into it. But yeah, that was a big one. That's really helped my game in the last couple seasons for sure.
Yeah, it's a solid tip, man. I'm going to give it a try. By the way, people have been commenting on these Golficity Live videos that you look like Justin Thomas, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, that one I haven't heard. That's new to me. I wish I could.
I think it's been
swing like
multiple,
Justin Thomas.
Yeah, multiple occasions. I don't know. I'm looking. I'm like, no. It's all right, man. Anyway, switching gears, Chris McEwen, another one of our writers out in Chicago. Wow, Chris has been with us for so long, for about 4+ years now.
Yeah.
He's awesome. He does these great new video reviews of products that he gets, and he just picked up the JCR golf bag. Check this thing out. He does an awesome job. It looks like a really cool bag.
This thing's slick. Nine pockets. Look at that.
That's nuts.
I could pack for vacation in that thing. And that's a nice touch. He's got the Golficity app in there.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Good stuff.
Yeah. That's great.
Here's Chris is tuning in. He just commented, "What's up, guys?" Hey, Chris, love that review. That was awesome.
Right on cue.
There he is. Hope you're enjoying that bag this season. And here's another comment from Dan. He said, I watched Hoffman and JT hit the putting green after round 2 of the Waste Management. They spent more time around the sides and behind the hole. Minimal time spent behind the ball looking at the hole. Great advice, guys. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, and you see it. And as you do it more, you start to become more in tune to like seeing the pros do it. And even if when they're not doing it, their caddies are doing it. They're taking a look because trust me, especially from the side, you can pick up the slightest little undulation, the slightest little, change in, cause it's not always dramatic. Speed is so important, but whether it's an up or a downhill putt is not always the most obvious thing. It's not like it's always a huge change. So you can pick up those subtleties checking it out from the side. So that's a really good one. Mike, what else we got going?
Let's roll into this week on Instagram. There's a couple of cool things.
This is always fun.
Always fun. First, who doesn't love a good trick shot? All right, so check this out. It's 2 balls stacked on top of each other, because you probably won't be able to see that.
You realize the timing it takes to hit this shot?
Ridiculous. Come on.
Because if you look at this, I got to play this again. The bottom ball is gone, leaving the top ball just kind of floating there in space for a second, and then the other guy comes in and just hits it. It's not even like he makes some contact and shanks it. He puts it like dead on straight. Look at that nice little fade he hits or something.
That's got to take, 7-8 hours.
That's so cool. And those guys, check them out. We link to it on our Golficity at Golficity on Instagram, and link to their page there, because those guys put out a lot of cool trick shots.
Yeah, so that was a good one. Another one, speaking of, this is kind of like a trick shot. When you're too lazy to go back for your wedge, you just have your putter. You walk up, you thought you stuck that green, but you probably wonder, here's one way to get out of it.
Oh, this is sick.
Yeah.
I'd be lucky to make the shot with my sand wedge. He's doing
My
it with
wedge.
the putter. And look how soft he puts that out there with that.
That's so good.
That's so sick.
And the walk-off.
I love it.
And then last, we had live footage from Frank from his home course.
Here we go, yeah.
Up in the Northeast here.
This is me this week, yeah.
Yeah, I know. We're getting there.
Dude, and I've been lamenting on the Instagram stories, too. It snowed here yesterday, dude. I'm like,
yeah, it was.
on.
Yeah, I know. It
didn't
funny.
stick at least this time, but this is getting ridiculous.
I wanted to just tell everyone real quick. I texted Frank on Saturday morning. I forget, it was like 9 o'clock, and it was beautiful out. I think it was like 75 degrees here. And I was like, you're out there, right? You're playing? You're like, nope, doing dad things. I'm like, yep.
I was at my daughter's, just started a dance class, and it was like,
there you go.
But you know what? I couldn't get out there if I tried. It seems like every golfer in New York wanted to play golf. I know. I heard the same from another one of our writers, Eric Benzenberg. He said he could barely get out there. Everything was so backed up because it seemed like literally like every golfer in New York just went out to play on Saturday because it was the first warm day since October, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this has got to have been the longest winter I can remember in a long time. The game is cold, man, but we're gonna warm it up soon. We're gonna warm it up.
I have a lot of golf coming up. A lot coming up with you, which is great. And next week I'm heading down to Hidden Creek in New Jersey, right outside of Atlantic City, with like a work trip. And it's a beautiful round of golf. I'm very excited about that.
That's awesome.
You can live through me on social media.
That's what I'm gonna be doing.
Yeah.
Wear those snap glasses
Get on
so
Snapchat.
I can just vicariously go through your eyes the whole time.
Yeah. So hold on. I want to wrap things up tonight, Frank, so we can go record episode 215 with a quick This Week on Golficity.
Wait, there they are.
Okay. All right, so we got a lot of great content coming in on the site, and of course it hits the app right away. If you didn't download it yet, you're a fool if you didn't. What do we got here?
Brian says he played this past Saturday in shorts, 80 degrees, sunny. High was 43. Sunday, the high was 43. I misread that.
Sunday.
It's exactly right. It just like
Dramatic
it tanked, and all of a sudden Sunday, of course, there were tee times. It's just like cold again.
And then Monday morning, we woke up to like a hurricane. So a lot of great content. Like I said, it's coming out on the site. I'm leaving these glasses on. I like them. First and foremost, one of our writers, Justin, he wrote a piece on a guy. Did you hear about this? A guy got stabbed on the golf course.
Yeah. And then I'm reading that article, and then I realized this was the second time this guy stabbed somebody.
Yeah. I know.
And then you look at it, I'm like, what's going on in Australia, right? Because this is down in Australia. It's the second time he stabbed someone, and this guy's been in the hospital for the last 2 months from being stabbed. And he got like 20 months in jail, but he can get parole after 10 months. It's like, all right, that sounds like the right guy to set loose.
Yeah, man. You don't want him in your foursome.
No.
What else came out there? Eric, like we said, he wrote an awesome piece. Go out and read this. An article that, us amateur golfers or most players, they focus on distance. We get too excited about distance. We should focus more on things like dispersion of our shots. It's an awesome article. I can't summarize it here. You're just going to have to go and read it.
We're going to talk a lot about that on the podcast we're recording tonight, so stay tuned for that. Our new podcast episodes drop every Sunday. Stay tuned for that. And if you've got the Golficity app, we got notifications on there. You'll be notified when the new podcast episodes drop, as well as videos. So check that out.
Yeah, and a couple of quick other ones. Quick article hit about, this is crazy, Tiger Woods' backup putter sold for $44,000 at auction.
$44,000. He's never used that in competition. But, I mean, it's been in his hands. But $44,000.
But it does have the TW inscribed right in it.
It's a custom putter that Scotty had made for him as a exact replica of the one he uses in play, and then he was able to use that as his backup. But what I also saw in there, that was not the most expensive one of Tiger Woods' putters ever sold. Did you see the other one in there?
What was the other one?
$63,000.
Yeah.
His last putter sold for a similar situation. It's just wild.
Yeah, that's crazy. But hey, it's Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
His socks can sell for $1,000. And last but not least, this is our most obvious point of the day. Drinking on the golf course can ruin your golf game. All right, so there's a bunch of articles that came out about this. Our team covered it as well. No, there's a lot more to the article. It's a pretty fun read, so check it out.
Yeah, check it out. And everything that we're talking about here, like I said, you can get to it on the web by going to golficity.com, or for sure, check out our new app. It is 100% free. It's on for Android and iOS, and there's the stabbing right there, and then there's
front and center,
and a whole bunch. That's a great article right there talking about that dispersion we talk about, and then there's Smiley got married this last weekend. There's one of Chris's articles. So great stuff in the app. Make sure you guys check it out. I'm just trying to control it from this. All 100% free. Download it. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, man, that's it. That's all I got for you tonight.
All right, good. So,
hope you enjoyed it.
Like I said, if you are watching this, because we post these live sessions on our YouTube channel as replays. If you're watching this on the replay, make sure that you like the Golficity page on Facebook, turn on live notifications so you can jump in the conversation when we do go live. We're trying to do this for you guys every Wednesday night, just schedule permitting. You know how busy it's been, but we're trying to get them in there. Otherwise, you can catch the replays either on the Facebook page or on YouTube, and we got a podcast to record, so we'll see everybody again next week.